Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for over 165 million years. And even with all that time, they still weren't the strangest things to walk the planet. So here's 13 extinct animals that make the dinosaurs look normal. Did you know dinosaurs weren't always the biggest animal around? That title actually went to an entirely different type of creature. Its name was Lissowitzia. It lived over 200 million years ago during the late Triassic, which means it would have lived side by side with the very first dinosaurs. But the strangest thing about this animal isn't just that it was the size of an elephant, it's that it was actually related to you and me, as it was a distant relative of the same branch of life that would eventually lead to mammals. So Lissowitzia is basically your cousin, just, 200 million years removed. But it wasn't the first time something massive dominated the land, because millions of years earlier, the planet was ruled by giants of a very different kind. We're talking dragonflies with wingspans like falcons, scorpions the size of your arm, and something that left behind a mystery that stumped scientists for decades. From Canada to Scotland and Germany, these same strange trackways kept appearing. The first guesses pointed to giant amphibians, the only land animals anyone could have imagined leaving tracks that big. But a millipede the size of a truck, that sounded too ridiculous to be real. Then we found Arthropleura, the largest arthropod to ever live on land. It stretched over 8.5 feet long and was nearly 2 feet wide. But if you really want to see something strange, we have to go back a 500 million years, when the seas were packed full of some of the strangest animals to ever live. This was the Cambrian explosion. But before we can get into the animal so weird that scientists literally had it flipped upside down for 40 years, when I was researching all this prehistoric ocean stuff, I suddenly wanted to go fishing myself. Maybe I'd even catch a prehistoric monster. So I grabbed my gear, went outside for about a minute, and immediately turned back around because it's absolutely freezing. So I went with the indoor fishing option instead. And thanks to today's sponsor, Fishing Clash, I'm honestly hooked now. Pun fully intended. Fishing Clash is a free-to-play mobile game where you can catch real fish from real-world locations without having to freeze outside like I would. Instead, you can experience the heat of the jungle or the pleasant ocean breeze. But if you do enjoy the cold, you can even fish among icy fjords. Fishing Clash offers more than 30 locations, each with unique animations and different fish to catch. 450 different fish species ensure you'll never get bored, from everyday freshwater fish to massive deep-sea giants, which is my favorite part because I swear, some of the fish in here are so unique, they could easily earn their own spot in a video like this. In Fishing Clash, there's always something new to do, from upgrading your fishing rods and lures to leveling up your gear. And one of the best features about this game is that you can even play and battle against real people. You can create your own clan and compete with players from all over the world to climb up to the top of the leaderboard. Sounds very challenging. So what are you waiting for? Download the game using my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Use my gift code JAYHONA to get a special rewards pack worth $20 that includes premium lures and power-ups to help you get started. Thank you Fishing Clash for sponsoring this video. Now back to the Cambrian weirdness. Take Hallucigenia. When scientists first found it, they figured the spikes were legs and the tentacles were arms for grabbing food out of the water, basically just treating it like some sea anemone wannabe. For years, textbooks showed it like that, until one guy accidentally flipped the picture upside down and everything changed. Turns out this little freak actually walked on its tentacles and used its spikes for defense. And as weird as that sounds, Hallucigenia wasn't alone in this prehistoric sea. Fossils of Wywaxia show a spiky, armored blob. Cause honestly, I'm not even going to pretend we know what this was. It was covered in rows of scales and spines sticking out of its back. Paleontologists can't even agree if it's an ancient mollusk related to snails or a type of armored marine worm. We just know it's bizarre. But here's the thing. Animals that look this baffling are often less traumatizing than the ones that look familiar. Case in point, Macrauchenia. It had a camel-like body, feet with only 3 toes, and nostrils that, unlike every self-respecting mammal, weren't on the end of the snout. They were jammed right between the eyes. This thing survived until about 12,000 years ago, long enough so early humans might have actually drawn it on cave walls. And even still, centuries later when Charles Darwin rediscovered its remains, that skull confused him so badly, he had no idea what he was looking at. His best guess was that it was some weird llama. Did it have a nose like its peers? Could it inflate like a balloon? Then DNA finally cracked the case, and the answer somehow made the whole situation even stranger. Macrauchenia turned out to be related to horses and rhinos, animals with perfectly normal, boring, front-facing noses. So this was a pretty strange creature. Just not nearly as strange as this next nightmare fuel. 390 million years ago, when rivers were crawling with scorpions the size of alligators, Yachyopterus could grow to 9 feet long with claws nearly 1.5 feet in length. Only instead of a mouthful of teeth, it had armored pincers to snatch fish and anything else unlucky enough to swim past. It was a real-life Mirelurk from Fallout, but actually even worse, because it had huge compound eyes that could spot even the slightest movement. So stay very far away from any bodies of water if you ever find yourself in the Devonian era. But maybe it's worth the risk, because one of the cutest animals ever also lived there too. Sockobombaspis. It was only about 1 foot long with a tadpole-shaped body and a bony shield around its head. But what really sticks with you is the face. 2 little eyes pressed right at the front, which is even weirder considering forward-facing eyes are usually reserved for predators. Underneath them was a tiny slit of a mouth, giving it this blank, almost smiling look. Okay, I kinda lied to you guys, because some reconstructions make it look like it's looking straight through your soul. But for my sanity, and yours, I'm just gonna keep imagining the cute version of Sockobombaspis. Next animal, Hostosuchus. Yeah, it looks like a dinosaur, until you realize the whole thing is a scam. It wasn't a dinosaur at all. It was an imposter doing a disturbingly good job at it. Because under the skin, it was closer to a crocodile, belonging to a group called the Rhoasuchians. Hostosuchus was a top predator of its time. Its bone-crushing jaws took up nearly 1/3 of its 13-foot-long body. And unlike those lazy sunbathing crocs we know today, when this animal was hungry, it would sprint at you on 2 legs. That's pretty terrifying. And it would eat anything, even its own crocodile kin. Because not all these crocodile-like animals were predators. Some were herbivorous. Take Desmodosuchus. It's basically a crocodile that looked at an ankylosaurus and straight up just copied their homework. You got armored plating, shoulder spikes, the whole defensive blueprint. And honestly, it worked. That armor is the only thing saving it from predators like Hostosuchus. And trust me, the dinosaur copycats don't stop there. Australia has a reputation today for being a living nightmare. Snakes, spiders, pine cones the size of your head, even kangaroos that'll throw hands. But in the Ice Age, all of that looked tame, because Australia had Megalania. Megalania was a monitor lizard related to today's Komodo dragon, but on a scale far beyond anything alive now. Estimates put it over 20 feet long and weighing close to 1,000 pounds, making it the largest land lizard to ever exist. But its bite wasn't even the worst part. It was its saliva, that just like their modern counterparts, had venom that would cause their prey to slowly bleed out. And though you might think today Australia is scary, the early humans on the continent likely ran into this demon, and probably even got eaten by it. And yet, even with the predators that big around, one of the weirdest Ice Age creatures didn't try to eat you at all. When scientists first dug it up, they were so confused by the remains, they thought the bones came from a bunch of different animals jumbled together. This was Calicotherium, an animal that was essentially a horse, gorilla, and giant ground sloth mashed together. It had hooves on the back legs, but the front arms were oddly elongated with claws instead. Though if you really want fossils that look like evolution wasn't trying, or maybe trying too hard, look no further than Opabinia. It had 5 eyes perched on top of its head, a long flexible trunk ending in a pincer, and a mouth that, because why not, pointed backwards underneath its body. No animal today is anything like it, which makes it a nightmare for paleontologists trying to figure out where it even belongs on the tree of life. But for a little comfort, despite it looking like an alien, it was only a few inches long. If you saw one today, you could hold it right in your palm. And on the complete other end of the spectrum, you get Camiosaurus, basically a squid inside a rocket shell. See, most ancient squids weren't soft and slippery like today's. Instead, they lived in long armored shells. Camiosaurus was the biggest of them all, stretching over 20 feet long. It would have lurked in the Ordovician oceans, using its beak and arms to grab whatever it could. And while Camiosaurus died out hundreds of millions of years ago, a tiny reminder of its world is still with us today. The Nautilus, the last living species of shelled cephalopod. Thanks Fishing Clash again for sponsoring this video, and don't forget to use my code JAYHONA to claim your in-game $20 bonus. There's a million more crazy weird animals. Let me know some more I didn't mention down below, or if I do a dinosaur only version, what should I include? But as always, go watch this video, and JAYHONA out!